On the day of publication of the new league tables and the introduction of the English Baccalaureate, the Girls' Day School Trust welcomes the government's recognition of the importance of a broad and balanced education. It welcomes the emphasis on challenging subjects, which include modern languages and humanities subjects in the portfolio, and the testing of those subjects through rigorous examinations. We strongly support the principle of breadth and balance in education up to the age of 16. Girls at GDST schools follow a broad and balanced curriculum, and when they achieve high grades in subjects across the portfolio of subjects, they've earned the right to specialise in the subjects in which they have expertise and enthusiasm in the last 2 years of school, leading up to university education. However, we do have reservations about how the EBacc has been introduced this year. Firstly, the term baccalaureate itself, more usually internationally, refers to the examination or the set of examinations that are taken at the end of the secondary school stage, as preparatory to university education or the world of work. It is unusual for the qualification to be introduced, or the term to be introduced, at a time which isn't the school leaving age in a student's progression through their education. Secondly, we'd ask why the EBacc has been applied this year retrospectively. It's being used to measure students and schools who made their curriculum choices, and in schools which established their curriculum structures long before the criteria for the EBacc, the decision as to which qualifications were going to be included or excluded, were made by the government. So it won't necessarily, for the first year or so, measure what it sets out to measure. We'd also ask why it was introduced so fast, without a great deal of consultation about which subjects should be included in the portfolio to represent, for instance, humanities subjects. And again, in international comparisons, you often find that the countries with which we like to compare ourselves, that are at the top of the international league tables themselves, tend, when they're looking to introduce fundamental and game-changing reforms, to undergo a fairly sustained period of consultation with schools, with parents, with employers, with universities, before those changes are made. It's been introduced very fast, without a great deal of consultation, which raises a number of problems, certainly in the first year or so of the qualification. GCSEs, some are included, some aren't. It depends on where they are in the process of accreditation at the moment. So in many schools, the percentage of people achieving the English Baccalaureate won't necessarily reflect the true situation in those schools. Neither will it reflect the true situation in terms of breadth if subjects like RE or RS are not included in the baccalaureate, but are important in some schools' curricula. Now that leads on to a major concern, which is that when qualifications are changed, it has some unintended curriculum consequences in schools. These tend to occur when the government tries to use qualifications as a way of influencing education more widely, so that there will be a decision being made in schools now for future years about whether religious studies, religious education should be included as part of the core offer in schools, rather than history and geography, or a combination of them. It will lead to questions about whether other subjects that aren't included, like music, are going to be marginalised in the curriculum at 14 to 16 in the next 2 years. The EBacc also tends to assume that people are generally happy with GCSEs, but I think there is a wider debate to be had about the impact that recent changes in GCSE has had on education more widely. The use of controlled assessments is raising a lot of questions about the loss of teaching and learning time, the extra amount of preparation time that needs to go into directly preparing for and taking part in those assessments. In summary, the GDST view is that we strongly support the principle behind the introduction of the EBacc. We support the principle of breadth and balance at 16 in order to allow for choice thereafter. We support rigorous examinations, but we want to see exams which are much less intrusive and much more truly supportive of teaching and learning in our schools. We'd support a much more sustained debate about what should constitute a good, balanced, broad and deep curriculum at the age of 16.